Do you ever wonder about that teacher's magical drawer that contained all the awesome toys confiscated throughout the year? Like that scene in A Christmas Story when the teacher opens her desk drawer to put the kids' wax teeth in, and the camera pans to the inside, showing what seems to be a bottomless treasure trove of distractions. Back when I was in school, I imagined my teacher's drawers were full of slap bracelets and pogs, and then yo-yos when they made a quick resurgence in the 90s. In this episode, I'll be talking about the current fad of confiscated classroom toys, the contested origin of them, the supposed benefits, and a little bit of physics. I'm your host, Emily Prokop, and this is the story behind fidget spinners. But first, a quick message. Look, we all know those podcasts that start out every episode talking about mattresses, meal delivery, audiobooks, or email services.
Mail came.
And you may want to support those podcasters for the work they do to bring you great, free content. But you're not really in the market for those products offered. So why not see if your favorite podcaster has a Patreon account you can contribute to? Patreon is a secure website you can use to support your favorite podcasters with either a monthly donation or a one-time donation. And no amount is too small. So the next time you find yourself starting a sentence with, "I heard on a podcast," consider donating to that podcast or seeing if they have a Patreon account you can donate to. And side note, if this is that podcast you would like to support, you can go to patreon.com/thestorybehind. Spelled like patron, but with an E thrown in there. If you're unfamiliar with fidget spinners, they're most likely put into the category of thingamajig. Or maybe it's considered a thingamabob, or a gizmo or doohickey. There's really no purpose to it other than amusement. And maybe even a way to annoy parents and teachers. And doesn't that just make it more appealing to kids? The best way to describe it is a small gadget with a bearing in the middle that can be placed between the thumb and forefinger. And then there are 3 wing-like protrusions usually that can spin around that bearing. Sometimes on each of the wings there's a circular bearing race, and because of the weight of this, the spinner stays in motion for a pretty long time. Once in motion, these fidget spinners can be balanced on fingers, jumped from finger to finger, or if you really want to make a hobby of it, flipped and caught for a number of tricks that will probably go into kids' memory, never to be used again when the fad dies out. Much like my awesome hacky sack muscle memory. Okay, that was a lie, but really, is anybody ever going to challenge me to hacky sack again? If that segment made me sound like I was anti-fidget spinner, be assured we currently have 4 in the house, thanks to my fidget toy-loving husband. And yes, there is a market now for fidget toys, considering the earlier success this year of the fidget cube. A small plastic cube with various fidget-friendly mechanisms on every side. We have a few of those as well. But what's interesting about the fidget spinner, and why it's probably the most current topic I've done an episode about, is the differing origin stories already circulating about it. According to a few media outlets like The Guardian, New York Times, and the New York Post, Catherine Hedinger was the original inventor. However, there are 2 different stories. According to the New York Post, she had the idea as early as the 1980s when she saw boys throwing rocks at police officers in Israel and wanted to find a way to help kids release pent-up energy in a more productive way. She then started coming up with the idea for the fidget spinner. Then, she told The Guardian she came up with the idea with her daughter in 1993. After throwing some things together and coming up with the spinning mechanism both she and her daughter could spin together. Call me a cynic, but we did the same thing in elementary school when we would put our plastic rulers on pencils and spin them like helicopter propellers. Also to the detriment of our teachers. But the difference between us and Hedinger was she filed a patent for the spinning toy in 1997. She began making her design and selling them at art and toy fairs, but when she brought the idea to Hasbro, they passed on the toy, and when it was time to renew the patent in 2005, she decided it wasn't worth the renewal fee. When fidget spinners started to come into the mainstream conscious in 2017, someone had written in Hedinger as the inventor on the fidget spinners Wikipedia page, despite her invention being more of a disc and not so much a three-pronged weighted spinner. And as much as we all love a story about an inventor who is finally vindicated after their invention was stolen, this is not one of them. But it's still interesting to note how headlines like "Woman who invented the fidget spinner isn't getting squat" intrigue readers and spin out of control. Hettinger is trying to raise money on Kickstarter to mass produce her original finger spinner, however. At this point, fidget spinners are so mainstream, people have started falling into two polar opposite camps. Those who love fidget spinners and enjoy them, even finding them useful to relieve autism, ADHD and ADD, stress, and anxiety. And then there's the camp of people who don't see the point. The ones who wonder why people would even need such a device, plus the aforementioned teachers who are concerned the spinners are distracting in class. But as you may remember from the marketing of the Fidget Cube, these devices were invented with the intention of keeping constant fidgeters from more annoying habits like clicking their pens or tapping their foot. As someone with ADD, I can say having something to do with my hands while trying to concentrate really does help with focus. Even right now, I'm playing with my wedding ring as I'm recording. But who knows? Maybe one day there will be a calling for those who have perfected the art of fidgeting. Professional juggler Michael Motion made a lot of money standing behind David Bowie as his literal right-hand man as he twirled crystal balls in the movie Labyrinth, for example. And you can't tell me that's not the ultimate fidgeting technique. Information for this episode was sourced from Bloomberg.com, Time.com, LiveScience.com, and more links which can be found in the show notes at thestorybehindpodcast.com. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at StoryBehindPod, or subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.